Today, we are going to talk about Black excellence in cancel culture. Just a little bit. Um, I was watching my one of my favorite creators, Jay Nolan. Like he's a dude that I'm definitely like popping in on a routine basis and watching him damn near every day, like it's regular TV. So he was having a conversation about what's going on with Dame Dash, and him kind of losing all his stuff. Like he got back child support, he got unpaid bills, all types of stuff, taxes not paid, all type, and it's wild. Dame Dash, we all know him as a mogul in hip hop and rap culture. Long time, you know, partner turned rival of Jay Z, and there was something in particular that came up that I thought was really interesting. As you guys know, I'm looking at my notes, so forgive me for looking down, looking away. Um, but they were having a conversation on the Joe Budden podcast about him, and they were bringing up the commentary of another creator. His name is Ray Daniels. Ray Daniels is another fixture in the hip hop space, well known by most of the hip hop heads of the culture. So, like you said, so Dame is at this crossroad where essentially the state is coming in and like, yeah, you got all this debt, we're gonna liquidate all of your stuff, and you're gonna have to pay back all of this stuff for all of the people that you ain't pay, all of the bills that you ain't take care of, all of the lawsuits you haven't, rectified at this time. And Ray Daniels made a comment and said that Jay-Z should come out and help Dame Dash. Now we all know the deal with Jay-Z. Him and his wife is worth literal billions at this point. His kids are fucking millionaires by default. Like it's wild, it's beautiful. It's this notion of black excellence, but there's this underbelly as it relates to Jay-Z and where he's come and so on, right? And at the crux of the conversation, Diddy is on trial for his stuff. So, he kind of falls into that black excellence umbrella, but I don't want to group them together. Of course, you have this whole thing going on with Tyler Perry being sued for 200 and something $1 million, 260, I want to say. And it's related to, inappropriate behavior and essentially him leveraging his power over somebody else and whatnot. So it's a whole big thing. But for right now, we're going to keep it right here with this Jay-Z conversation. And we'll touch back in on those things a little bit later. So Jay-Z should help Dame Dash because he's at this point where essentially it's $1 million bill. Like it's something like 865, 900K, and they're liquidating all of his assets and like, yeah, you gonna pay all this stuff back. So should he help him? As crazy as it sounds, $1 million for Jay Z, drop a drop in the bucket. Like it's nothing. Like it's but why? Why? Why he owe him that? With all of the times that Jay Z and Dame have had back and forth and opportunities to compromise, Dame did not yield to any negotiation. So now that he's at this crossroad, what is that about? So let me get into some backdrop a little bit here because there is a strange thing that happens where we tend to end up in this pendulum, right? And you might start to notice that most of the conversation that I'm having in this space that I'm calling my YouTube pages is dichotomy, right? It's gonna be about the left or the right or the left, however you want to phrase it, right? Like I got the villains and I got the heroes, right? Uh I have this left side, right side, because more often than not, if you are in the space of trauma and so on, you tend to be inside of a pendulum. Our problem after you've had some significant drastic experiences, the ability to exist in the middle becomes nearly impossible, which is why I say stuff like once you've had a certain thing happen to you, you have to choose on a regular basis whether or not you want to be a villain, you want to be a hero. Are you going to walk up to the situation? Are you going to punch it in the face? Are you going to walk away from it, turn the other cheek, and stay cool? Now, the part of this conversation that I want to talk about relative to Jay Z and Dame Dash is this notion of victimhood. And when you become a victim of circumstances, should someone come in and save you or leave you? when we think about the dichotomy of victimhood or victimization, what's the other side of that? Like, what does that look like? When you go left, when you go right, when you a victim, when you in your fight or flight space, what's that? What's that hero? What's that villain? What's that left? What's that right? And I'm feeling like the other side of victimhood is entitlement, because I find it very interesting that there are so many people that could see Dame in a bad situation, in a situation that I must over iterate that he's created for himself. We're talking about back child support and unpaid bills for people that did business with him. We're talking about unpaid taxes. This is something that you're responsible for, you're supposed to manage. And we've listened to this man look people in their face and say, oh, you got a daddy when you come to work. Well, clearly, you needed your daddy because you wasn't paying your bills. Let me not go off on a tangent too much. But the other side of your unfortunate circumstances is you feeling entitled to somebody coming and bailing you out because we know each other. Here's what I think about with this whole thing. When you're a kid, right, there's a certain level of things that people understand, because you don't understand something, you don't know better, you're going to do things wrong, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to jump out the window, do shit that you ain't got no business doing. And when you have a tough life as a kid, there's room for improvement, there's room for error, there's a level of forgiveness, and it's because you don't know any better, right? So let's say you are a kid that goes through devastation. You're a kid, you don't got the means to get what you need. I think it's crazy if you kind of go too hard on a kid that's stealing, because you genuinely don't know what that kid is going through. And I'm sure as I say that, there's people that's like, nah, kids sometimes don't be just doing stuff. They don't be struggling. They don't be this. They don't be that. You are applying adult rationale to a child. And I don't even knock you for that, because here is where this gets interesting. There's some of us that's like, yeah, you know what? If a kid go in the store and he's stealing food, it's reasonable to believe that that kid is hungry. It's reasonable to look at the situation and say, damn, that kid, like, shit must be hard for boy. Like, why are you doing that? You might look out, you might not. Shit thing, it's whatever. But then that kid starts to get older. And suddenly the expectation of that child changes. And while you have an expectation that is different for that child has been conditioning itself to say, well, if I need something, if I want something, then I take it and I don't get coy. And very quickly, there's a point in your life where you transition from the child that has needs that could not be met to the adult or the young adult or the teenager that is spoiled, that is entitled, that is greedy. That very quickly there's this change. And I think what I want to take away from this moment, most of all to anything else, is that there comes a certain point where no one owes you a favor, where grace is forfeited at adulthood. Because sometimes you have to realize that you're not accountable for how you show up and the kind of shit you stir in your own pot. So I think we'll make this brief. Part two coming soon. Bye.